2010. With a passion for municipal policy and neighborhood empowerment, Nate loves his community and is driven to improve the lives of those around him. Nate's experience in community organization has taught him the power of trust, collaboration, and creative problem solving. Real change happens when people feel heard, connected, and empowered to shape their own community. Sounds like we have a potential Rotarian. So after a decade of working in skilled trades, Nate is pursuing his Bachelor's of Social Work at the University of Windsor. From building houses to building people, lasting impact requires both heart and strategy. So happy to welcome both of you to our Rotary meeting this morning. It sounds like we are aligned very much in what we try to do to make the world better. And we'd like to hear more about your organization. So come on up.
This might help you. This is great. Can I take this with me? Awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree that it seems like we've got a lot of similar values. Like you can see with this group in the morning, everyone laughing together. You get the need for community and how much that can mean to people. So we're all about that and strengthening and building that downtown. Nate especially has lived downtown for a long time, been with DWCC for 10 years. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing, and Nate's going to inject some color where he's got this long history of working with people, got some good stories that we'll go through as well. But Downtown Windsor Community Collaborative is, this always takes me a second to turn this button here.
It was working.
It always happens out there.
Mm.
You know what it is?
Talking about Carlo? I didn't work.
There we go.
Okay, I got it.
I'm done.
All right, perfect. The Downtown Windsor Community Collaborative started in about 2010. We chose Downtown Windsor, this neighborhood specifically, because it has one of the highest rates of child poverty in the region, and it's a pretty marginalized part of the region. The second highest rate, the first is actually right on the other side of Downtown Windsor as well. Yeah. Physically, the geographic boundaries is about 4 square kilometers, home to about 18,000 people, so pretty high population density. Got a lot of great things about it. One of the best is that it's really walkable. You can get to all these downtown businesses. It's a really great place to be.
Yeah, and then a lot of this geography, this is our boundaries, specifically the P2P program is this red area. How we kind of landed on this area is really based on the community itself and like who identifies with that area. So there is a little bit of overlap between, like, this isn't a hard line for any of these boundaries, but the focus is really on the community and people who are identify living in that area itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So DWCC's vision and mission is to be a good place to grow up and a good place to grow old for everybody that calls it home, where every neighbor has a loving community, everyone has a chance to be valued and a place to belong. So everything that we do, we look at it from a lens of what's going to bring people together out of isolation and into healthy relationships. When I talk to some neighbors, it's a high turnover area. Sometimes people don't know the name of a single neighbor, and we really want to change that. We want to make sure people have those connections, know who to go to when they need a crock pot for the day, or they have, yeah, I have a question?
No, I didn't mean to catch up, but I am wondering, I'm assuming that this is a highly multicultural area.
Yeah.
Definitely. Tons of different languages, which provides a lot of barriers to being able to connect, but also a lot of great opportunities. Learning different gardening strategies for the gardeners at all of our community gardens, for example. It's a really good place to eat too, I would say. So we have 2 branches of our work that we want to touch on today. First is the recovery from complex trauma, as well as what Nate and I do, which is the community development side of things. Everything that we do, we take it from a lens of these key pieces here. The first being micro-local. We really want to take a local strategy and really even target it closer to that neighborhood level. Asset-based community development is essentially taking what already exists within the community, thinking that the answers to making a better life for folks come from within the community itself, not from outside organizations. So focusing on what's strong rather than what's wrong and building up those resources that are people, places, everything in that neighborhood that can make it better. Connected Communities approach is similar in that we want to work together. We don't want to reinvent the wheel every time that we are approaching an opportunity. Basically, we want to see who's doing what, who we can pull in, make it a combined effort. Hospitality, that often means food. We're usually finding a way to get people together over a meal. Resiliency building, dignity of choice, that can be things like we had our back to school event where kids were able to earn money to spend at the shop by helping clean up the park or giving a donation of a canned good. And they were able to go and shop for their stores for their supplies. It wasn't just a matter of them being handed a backpack. They could decide what erasers they wanted. There's a lot of dignity in that. And starting everything as a seed initiative, really just giving something a try, putting a little bit of effort into it, seeing if it takes off, seeing if there are people that are passionate about it, being okay with moving to the side and pivoting if something isn't working, but leaning on whatever is working in those cases. So we're pretty agile in that way. So this is what we call our healthy neighborhood pie. Every neighborhood should have each of these different assets to make it healthy. Everything from a community park, elementary school, to community center, really those third spaces where people can gather without spending too much money. Associations, clubs, faith groups, things like Rotary Club, and collaboration with cities, agencies, advocacy groups, all working together to make a healthy neighborhood. So these are the types of strengths that are going to transform a neighborhood into a community and really relies on local leadership development supported by allies. We're always keeping an eye on the relationships within the community, and it's pretty amazing how much it matters just having people see your face over and over in a neighborhood. That alone creates a ton of trust. So we take these relationships that we see when we go to the Tim Hortons and bump into people several times. That goes from just recognizing each other to talking to each other for a little bit, listening, and ultimately hopefully becoming vulnerable, learning about each other, working together on an initiative.
And this isn't just what's happening, like us with residents that are living in the area, but it's the same thing. It's reciprocal in a lot of ways too.
Mhm.
So when we're meeting neighbors and the people in the neighborhood, then we're also learning from them and making those connections with them that can help us connect to other people.
Exactly. So looking at a couple of things that we're doing over there at DWCC right now, we're exploring the idea of a laundromat because something that a few residents have talked to us about is that we're in a laundry desert. We had one laundromat that shut down. Now it takes a couple bus rides in some cases to get to the nearest laundromat, which can take a full day when it comes to going, doing your laundry, and then coming back. It's also a really good place to connect with people. It's one of those third spaces where you don't have to spend a lot of money or doing something you already have to do. So we're exploring that, seeing what we can do about our new building and making it a small laundromat. Another one that actually, you want to talk about the fridge?
Yeah, the community fridge, that was a project that was actually started. So these names here, these are actually student interns that we have right now at the DWCC. They take on different projects while they're with us. But the community fridge was actually started before Nikita came and started interning with us. And that was started to be like, the idea is everyone's seen those little libraries that are outside for books. So the community fridge is sort of along that idea where it's low barrier, just an easy way for residents to be able to exchange food within their community. And it's been really successful. We finally got it up and running here. We've had a couple of little roadblocks where trying to find a placement of it, but now it's completely operational. So, and that started, I think, last June. But there's going to be a picture coming up as well eventually that you'll see of it. But it's literally just a fridge in right beside our building that people can access from the neighborhood, and they can either put food in or take food out. Yeah.
The student interns, are they post-secondary and involved in like a social program, or
they're social work students?
Social work students.
Yeah, we have in the past. We actually have also had nursing students sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One other one I'll touch on now, which is a good example of a seed initiative that we threw out that ended up being very successful, is the Mission Book Club. So a couple of these students went to Downtown Mission and with a different book or a poem and chatted about it with folks, and incredible attendance on that. You know, people were really excited about
I think
that.
really people at the mission there, a lot of times they're just bored and they need stuff to do. So this was something easy that one of the, I think the students came up with that idea, and it's really been successful. Lots of engagement from people living at the mission.
Yeah. This is one of DWCC's kind of starting projects, and Nate's definitely going to be the one to chat about this one.
Me, a little bit thinner.
Sure.
This would have been 2011, right when I moved downtown. So part of the idea, the DWCC, is that a lot of the people that are involved are living right in the neighborhood. So some of us moved into the neighborhood itself. So myself, the executive director, Bob Cameron, who's not here, we moved into the neighborhood. Myself, I moved in with my friends Matt and Chris. Matt and Chris Oliver, some people might know them as well. Their parents at one point were actually in Rotary that used to be in Cottam, I think it was. But yeah, we moved to downtown at 779 Bruce, and part of the idea was that we would move into this house. We had an investor, and we covered the bills ourselves, but then we had also some rooms that were available for people that needed to stay. So it was a way that we could really leverage what little bit that we had and what we could do to help those around us. And then from that model, we actually, this was there were only men that were living in this house. We started a women's house because we recognized that the needs for women were very different. And that was right around the corner at 725 Church Street. So it's all still within the neighborhood. And from those experiences, we had over the years, we had a lot of people coming in that were experiencing addiction. So we experimented with a recovery house model based on that. And as people were coming through these houses, this is like part of a pattern that you'll see. It's the seed initiative where we're just learning and building on our experiences. A lot of times when people would come into the house, some people would be a short-term stay where it's just a week or even a couple days, a day. And then we would try to work with them to help them find another place to stay. But we started to notice a problem that we'd be able to find places to stay, but they wouldn't have any furniture. So we started the furniture bank, which is another, it was another mutual aid kind of idea, like the community fridge, where we just had people that would donate fridges, they would donate couches, beds, and we would partner with them to, as these people were moving into these new houses and apartments, to help furnish everything. Eventually, we ended up passing that on with Habitat for Humanity, right? And this is part of the collaborating aspect where we're not afraid to let things go to others as needed. And Habitat's been managing that now, but we still have a good partnership. And a lot of times people are still coming in and they'll get cards from us and they'll be able to go straight to Habitat to get that furniture that they need.
Yeah. And through a lot of the work at those houses, we realized that complex trauma is a big part of a lot of people's lives. Through that, we started running REACT programs, which is a group complex trauma recovery group that meets in the mornings or evenings, depending on people's schedules. We've had over 500 graduates in 6 years, and this program really provides that community of people that grow and learn together and also do social things together. They're often at our community picnics and find a place to start recovering and also just to have that community.
And to feed back into the community as well.
Exactly.
So the streetlight program came up as well through our experiences with the different houses that we had. The traditional model, they've got this picture of the Salvation Army downtown. Salvation Army, the Mission, Hiatus House, Welcome Center, they all do great work. The difference is that all those organizations, it's a building that you have to go to. So streetlight program was created so that we would actually go out to the people that were living on the street. So Tammy and Ashley, they were two individuals that were running the streetlight program. They had street experience themselves, and what they would do is multiple times a week, they had a route where they would go out in the downtown and they would go to those hidden places, or those places where individuals living on the street felt safe, where they weren't, if they weren't at the mission or one of these other organizations. And we would check in on them, make sure that they were healthy and they didn't need anything. If we needed to, we would connect them with other agencies. But there's been a couple layers that kind of came up from that as well, where we started at one point what was called the Streetlight Training Center, where it was like, it was, how do I want to say it? We're slipping. Basically, we would work with few individuals, but intensely in that training program, and try and help them get to a place where they would get housing on, so they weren't living on the street anymore. And we had a number of people go through that program, so it's been really successful.
Yeah. A lot of the work that we do is run out of Bruce Park. If anyone's familiar, just off of Wyandotte near Bruce Avenue. You can see here, after one of the big snowstorms this year, all of the foot traffic in that park, even in the middle of winter. It's a heavily used park. Anybody can see after the schools get out, it's flooded with kids. It's very widely used. So it's
a hidden gem, really, too. Like, there's a lot of people don't realize that there's that park in the downtown core.
Yeah.
It's just kind of behind Wyandotte and Bruce and Church, like in that little corridor there.
Taking a little tour of our neighborhood here.
Yeah, so this is Caron Park, which is kind of on the edge of our boundary. How this connects with Bruce Park is we've, over the years, we had a community garden that started in Bruce Park. Eventually, we ended up needing to move it, so we moved it here to Caron Avenue. The reason we moved it here is because this corner, a lot of the residents, they felt like it was unsafe. Won't press the one button there. Kind of just give you a visual. That picture where this is Bailey. He was one of our students this year. I just love this picture too, because it shows that path of desire people take. They don't want to go around the corner. They're cutting through the park there. But this park, it was underutilized. There was only like a small swing set, a basketball court, and it was right on the edge at the railroad track. So people didn't feel safe. The residents were complaining about drug use in the park. So what we ended up doing is when the garden needed to move, we moved it into this park. We worked with the city and the gardeners themselves. They actually preferred this location. There was a lot more sunlight here. I think it's the next picture there. So the gardeners, you can see how great this is. All the gardeners that are using this place, they're residents of the downtown core. And they're really amazing at what they can do. But we find that the garden itself is kind of like a microcosm of the neighborhood. And there's conflict that happens, but also relationships are getting built, and the plants themselves are growing at the same time. So.
Pictures. How are we doing on time?
We got maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. We'll rapid fire through a few more pictures and programs that DWCC does here. A Sports for All program. Sports are a great way to engage the kids as well. We just started our Tuesday potlucks at Bruce Park. They were previously potlucks. Now with the health code regulations, we're doing some food every once in a while, bringing in partners. But every Tuesday afternoon, we're over at Bruce Park. If you want to come say hi. Sometimes we'll have music. You can see all the kids will bring their bikes. We've got a bike repair workshop that we just started at WCC as well.
And just highlight like the safety that people feel when this programming is going on. These bikes are not, the kids aren't chaining their bikes up at all. Right? That's why I love this picture here. They just lay it there and it's safe.
Yeah. Anytime we bring the inflatable bounce classes out, the kids will grab all their friends and come. It's a pretty big sight to behold. This is from our back to school event. We had a Saka Barber Shop come and give free haircuts to the boys for back to school, which was a huge hit. They were busy from start to finish. This is an example of the kids going and picking out their school supplies after making their donations or doing some volunteering for us. So that was one of my favorite events.
And with Saka being involved, that's like one of those areas as well where we're connecting businesses themselves that are downtown with the residents, trying to increase those with proximity is increased interaction. Right?
Yeah. Also along Wyandotte, we've got our Good Hood Community Kitchen, which is about a year old now. Serves good Korean street food, but it's more importantly a place for youth and adults to come and have a place that they can feel like a community without necessarily even having to spend money. Really affordable food, and they've got a volunteer-run kitchen there. You can train people to be ready for the workforce and running a kitchen. So if anyone hasn't been to Good Hood Community Kitchen, highly recommend. A couple more shots of the kitchen. See Nate behind the counter there.
Are they open for breakfast?
They're not.
11 to 2 on weekdays, yes. And select Saturdays, though, I think next Saturday.
There is Saturday breakfast where we have the WINGS program, which I don't know if we have a slide for that, which WINGS stands for Windsor Intercultural Neighborhood Girls, which is a lot of the girls that are living in the neighborhood that are newcomers and Afghani specifically are involved with this program, and they find ways to integrate their skills at their food and overlapping with, we got some coffee from an organization that's in Guatemala that's single origin. It's connections that we have where we bring it in that goes to help support a women's program in Guatemala. So that's where the intercultural part's happening, plus it's in the neighborhood itself, right? So bridging all those connections.
And great food. Yeah. And we'll call it there to have a little time for questions, hopefully. Any questions? Yeah.
Excuse me, the Hotel du Grace partnered with the province for the HEART program. They had community partners. Are you one of the community partners for treatment beds?
Can you repeat
Not to my knowledge.
for the people online?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Hotel du Grace Hospital, in conjunction with the provincial government, received, I believe, $6 million per year over the next 3 years, and they're with partner organizations. Do you happen to be one of those partner organizations?
I don't think we are.
I don't think so. I'll follow up with people though.
Yeah, so Allie and I, most of our experiences with the neighborhoods program for Pathway to Potential. Our executive director would probably know more on that. We can follow up. I don't think we are though.
Yeah.
They just hit the 6-month mark and they treated or assisted 98
Yeah.
people so far.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I'll come up so people can hear me if there's anything valuable I have to say. Recently we had the Second Chance Ministry come and speak to us, and we provided some assistance to them. They are a source for furniture for people. I don't know if you work with them or have you heard of them? Or?
Yeah, I do. I know of Second Chance. I'm not interacting with them frequently. I know who they are. Again, with the addictions program is something that I'm not personally involved in that much, but I know we do have those connections. Sure. I should say, like, a lot of times when I was living in the house downtown, I lived in that for 5 years, and then I got married. My wife didn't want to move into the men's house with me, but we had guys that would come through organizations like Second Chance, and because we used to joke that we were like a 3/4 way house, because we weren't a halfway house. There was like a certain level of trust, but it was like this other step that was along the way where there was a little bit more accountability. And so we worked with Second Chance. We worked with St. Leonard's House as well. We had got some guys from St. Leonard's House that came through.
Yeah, that's true.
As I mentioned to Allie this morning, I was invited to one of your meetings.
Yeah.
And I came down, I guess it was you just send out the flyers and whatnot. And I was amazed at the community building that you do. I think everyone was enticed with a meal, which was very good. But then you had interactions, and there was amongst all the different tables. And actually, we moved from table to table too.
Yeah.
To describe our interactions in the community. That's where my office is, as I mentioned. And it was interesting to hear these things. And then there were ideas generated and then discussed. And it was really powerful and positive. So I think it's great. And I'm glad you guys came here.
Oh, thanks so much. That's really encouraging. Yeah, talking about our community meetings, our neighborhood meetings that we have about once a month. All of our neighborhood work, we want to be really resident driven. So that starts with getting people in a room, sharing a meal, and like you said, idea generating. So really happy to have had you there. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you do a lot of great work in the community. How are you funded? Is there a board behind this? What's the organizational structure?
Yeah, so a few different pots there. Our neighborhoods program is a city-funded program right now through the Pathway to Potential, which is the same thing that does the affordable bus passes and the affordable rec programs. Neighborhoods program is the newest among them, so that's a 4-year program for ours specifically. We also have private donors and grants, so depending on the program, different pools there.
Different Trillium funding.
Trillium funding.
I think about a little under half. It's somewhere between 40% and half of our donations come from individuals. The other half comes from different grant sources.
Thank you so much for having us. This is great. Yeah. Good.
Thank you so much for coming out and speaking to us.
Some
this morning.
parlor.
Yeah, so you might have seen on the front of the banner, our motto this year for Rotary is Unite for Good. Obviously, the core driver of your organization and your presentation today. Thank you so much. Small token of our appreciation, local honey. Hopefully you can enjoy it with toast or maybe share it with your friends.
Yeah. So thank you.
All right, thank you.